Alright guys, so this is part 2 of the videos that you had seen on after the AP language, okay? And so this is still covering units 4 through 6, okay? And so this is the last video here that we're going to look at for 4 through 6. So what I'm doing here, guys, is I'm solving for theta, okay? So since I see squares on both sides, I mean, I'm going to use a little bit of algebra. They cancel here. Okay, so 4 minus 1 is 3 tangent squared theta. Minus 1 equals 0. Okay, and I'm going to add 1. Because remember, I want the theta. So 3 tangent squared theta equals 1. And then I'll divide by 3. Okay, and since this is squared, what I want to do is do square root. So tangent theta equals plus or minus square root of 1 over 3. Which, guys, I can split this up. Plus or minus square root of 1 divided by square root of 3. Which square root of 1 is just 1. Okay, so really what I'm looking for here, I haven't found theta yet. After I solve all this, I can look for my unit circle, look in my unit circle and look for my theta. Where does it equal 1 over square root of 3? So we need to remember that tangent's also equal to O over A. So I'm looking, remember this is A and this is O. So if I were to divide O and A, okay, I'm just going to write this off to the side so that we know. Right now I'm looking at pi over 6. Okay, that's where I got it from. So if I divided O over A, I'd have 1/2 divided by square root of 3 over 2. Which, if I do keep, flip, and change, is 2 over 2 square root of 3. These cancel. Okay. So what I'm actually looking for is this right here. So at pi over 6, that's an answer. If I have divide those two numbers. And since I'm looking for the plus or minus 1 over square root of 3, like I am here, my theta is equal to pi over 6. Okay, but that's not the only one. I mean, if I have any combination of where the square root of 3 over 2 is in front, that's going to be an answer. So this is also an answer. Because if I divide 1/2 and negative square root of 3 over 2, it's going to give me negative 1 divided by square root of 3, which is the possible answer. So 5 pi over 6 is an answer. So is 7 pi over 6 and 11 pi over 6. So all of them are answers, because if I divide those two numbers, it's going to either give me positive or negative 1 divided by square root of 3. Okay. So next one here, guys. Using my identities, and I have some here. These right here, the Pythagorean ones. Remember, with these problems here, I'm starting with this is the question. Over here is the answer. Okay, so first thing that I'm going to do is, I'm going to try and get rid of this 1 plus tangent squared. Because if I see a squared and I see a plus 1, it probably means I'm using this equations over here. These right here. So don't forget, this one's not on there. This is also one of them. Okay, remember, I can move stuff around so that they look like that. So I can see 1 plus tangent squared equals secant squared. So I can simplify this. 1 plus tangent is equal to secant. Okay, so this right now does not look like that, so I'm not done with my work here. So when I get stuck, guys, remember, you want to turn them into sines and cosines. So I'm going to add a couple more identities here. These are ones you need to remember. So remember that tangent is equal to sine over cosine over A. Cotangent is equal to cosine over sine. Cosecant is equal to 1 divided by sine, and secant equals 1 over cosine. Okay, so we're going to use these properties right now. So I want to use the tangent one because it's sine over cosine. So now, instead of writing tangent, I'm going to write sine over cosine. So this is just tangent. Divided by secant, which I know is 1 over cosine. And since these are squares, the squares have to stay here. And you have to put it for the 1 because 1 squared is just 1. And I have a situation, guys. Again, this does not equal that, so I'm not done with my work yet. So I'm going to do keep, flip, change because I'm dividing fraction and fraction. Okay, and I'm going to multiply. Okay, and I see the cosines cancel, so I'm left with sine squared theta. This now equals what I had in the beginning. I am done. Now I'm done. Okay, so there's a couple of these on your review guide, so look through them and I'll answer your questions tomorrow.